There's been a decrease in banking-related crimes for 2019. That's according to the South African Banking Risk Information Centre. Associated robberies decreased by 2%, while cash-in-transit robberies dropped by 16%. Gross losses on card transactions were down as well, amounting to almost 430 million rand. But there was an increase in business burglaries and robberies as well as card fraud. Sabric CEO Nichelle Melowal joins us now. Very good morning to you, Nichelle. So tell us about why these attacks, these robberies, decreased.
Hi, good morning, Jane, and good morning to the viewers. Thank you for having me on the show this morning. So when we look at some of the attacks directed at ATMs, you know, criminals use various techniques in order to destroy ATMs, explosives, cutting torches, grinders. Those are the common choices. Now, in this specific category of crimes, there's been a 9% decrease. But what's of concern is that there is an increase in the number of times explosives were used as a modus operandi. Now, why that's worrying is that it means criminals have their hands on more explosives. The decreases, you know, can be attributed to better technology being used to monitor ATMs. There's good solutions in place in order to trigger a response when there's unusual activity around ATMs. And more importantly, the use of dye-stain technology that spoils the gains and renders the effort quite useless when this technology is deployed.
Deeply satisfying then. Though we did see an 80% increase in business robberies. Talk us through that.
Yes, business robberies is quite a concern. In fact, it's a massive concern. It's the primary issue we are going to be focusing on going forward. Business robberies are not necessarily robberies that are associated to, you know, your conventional types of checkers and game and stores like that. Actually, these are robberies that take place on sites or the premises that are under control by our user members. So the members of Sabric itself. And usually these robberies are targeting specific venues where we are receiving cash in order to distribute the cash for grant payments. So this is of serious concern. It makes the particular premises vulnerable. And one of the ways we can reduce this is by reducing the need to continuously be doing cash payments into society.
All right.
We need to look at alternative methods of payments.
Okay, and digital fraud, there was a 20% increase there.
Yes, digital fraud, well, it's important to note that when we look at digital fraud, there's been a massive push by our members in order to get people to transact digitally, because digital transactions are actually the safest methods that we have at the moment. None of our bank's platforms have actually been compromised. So as you see a push towards digital payments, you're going to get an increase in the number of transactions and the number of fraud events. And we need to keep in mind that these events are not necessarily frauds against the platform itself, but actually criminals find very clever ways in order to defraud the customer. So they attack the identity of the customer in order to defraud customers.
And what do the stats on bank crimes tell us?
So the stats on bank crime tells us that when we're looking at violent crime, there has certainly been a decrease. And this is a good news because when you consider the decrease in violent crime, violence is often associated to physical harm to individuals. So we don't want to have an environment that has become conducive to physically directed crime or physical harm to human beings. But when we look at the way crime has manifested itself in other payment platforms, such as digital and such as credit card, those are areas of concerns. What it means is that we need to focus on changing the way human beings behave when they transact. And that is going to be something that all banks are going to be focusing on in order to shape the way we behave when we transact.
Okay, but it seems in many areas, predominantly, we're doing it right.
That's correct. We're getting it right in many fronts. And I think there needs to be, we need to recognize the efforts in terms of the collaboration that is happening between our private security services, the banks, and particularly the police. Those guys have really formed an extremely strong partnership. You know, intelligence gathering, investigations, and a very strong response once the threat has been identified is actually in place. And those guys are doing a fantastic job. So that piece is coming right. Collaboration is at the heart of the success.
All right, very rare. We got positive news, so let's leave it there. Nichelle, good to talk to you.